Huh. So it's been a while. I'm really sorry about that. Holiday season had been coming in hot and torched my free time. But I've been working hard in my extra free time. So back in my first video, I talked about wanting to turn a few My Little Pony characters from Generation 3 into humans. And after looking it up, I realized that there actually aren't many videos or posts about that very concept. And honestly, I get it. When people think of My Little Pony, they think about Friendship is Magic and not so much its previous iterations. And characters from said previous iterations would overlap with Friendship is Magic. All of that's to say, we've all seen and been a part of the Friendship is Magic hype in some way. And I personally think we all need a little more G3 in our lives, don't you think? Yeah, you definitely think. So when approaching the topic of turning a few G3 ponies into humans, I wanted to avoid any generational overlapping confusion stuff. And it's because of that, there won't be any characters like Minty or Cheerilee in this video. So who did I decide on turning into humans if G3 doesn't have a more, distinctive group of main characters? Well, after looking through the G3 wiki and a few TV specials, I decided on Sky Wishes, Starcatcher, and my personal favorite when I was a kid, Desert Rose. I thought about including ponies like Starsong and Wisteria, but I didn't want the character lineup to be mostly purple ponies. I also want to iterate that there is technically a main group of ponies in G3, though instead of being called the main 6, they're instead the core 7. There are definitely a few names in the core 7 that will sound familiar to any Friendship is Magic fans, such as Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, Cheerilee, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle. To be honest with you guys, I had no idea there was a main group of ponies in Generation 3. I mean, I was like 6 and I only cared about the plastic colorful horse toys. Sorry if I sound a bit rambly. I just really like this generation in particular. I mean, it's the generation I grew up with, and where some of my most fondest memories were formed. I am hoping that this video does well enough so that it can give me an excuse to talk more about My Little Pony, and maybe, hopefully, some other stuff relating to it. Okay, you've probably heard enough already. Let's draw some more horse girlies. When all the stars come out at night, Sky Wishes makes a wish on every single one. Mostly, she wishes for good things for her friends. But she has a special wish of her own too. She wants to be the best dancer in Ponyville. It'll take a lot of practice, but Sky Wishes knows that dreams really can come true. So to start off, we have Sky Wishes, if the intro wasn't clear enough. So when I was researching for this video, I did discover that Sky Wishes did have a Friendship is Magic or Generation 4 toy made of her. But honestly, that's the one and only connection she has to G4. Now for each of the G3 human designs themselves, I wanted each character to have a specific early 2000s or Y2K fashion look to them, as that's the time period this generation was released in. For Sky Wishes, I went with Kidcore to match her color scheme and just overall vibes. Her kite and butterfly cutie mark also really reminds me of that specific aesthetic. Sky Wishes, or Sky as I'd like to call her, has been portrayed in a few G3 media as someone who wants to help her friends by, well, wishing on kites. And honestly, I've never heard of a concept where you come across a random kite and make a wish on it, but let me know if y'all have and I just never knew. Another core aspect of her character that I've noticed in a few of her TV special appearances is just her going off on tangents and ending with, "Oh, you know what I mean," or some other variation. She is also often seen with Starcatcher in a few of those TV specials, who we will get to later. With Sky's design, I mentioned getting inspired by the Kidcore aesthetic, and there is a lot of potential there in of itself. Like, tell me the outfit I gave her doesn't bridge the gap between Y2K and a Just Us Back to School sale. I gave her lots of accessories that she most definitely picked up from the Claire's checkout counter, like face stickers and all. Side tangent, anyone else got their ears pierced there? I mean, I didn't ever go back for another, but I feel like Claire's was like the place where you got your ears pierced like a month before school started, so that you could take out the pierced earrings and wear actually cool earrings. Just me. I also drew Sky's cutie mark on her flared out jeans. I can imagine she can be a little bit of a crafter sometimes. I put her hair up in half buns to mimic her horse ears and stick to the kidcore look. And you can't see it in the design here, but when I draw the ponies together later, she does have braces. And here's human Sky wishes. She will spend at least 2 hours talking to the Claire's cashier about how she accidentally spilled paint on her jeans and how she wanted to be creative and it turned into a butterfly to cover their mistake and, oh, you know what I mean. With her fluttering wings and sparkling crown, Starcatcher is one of the most beautiful ponies anyone has ever seen. She loves to help her friends and make their dreams come true. And now we're on to Pegasus' girlfriend, Starcatcher. You think I'm kidding, but I'm just going off on what the wiki says. With her pony design, the first thing that comes to mind is elegant, or majestic, or one of those flying in the clouds sounding words. She's just so pretty. Though finding a sort of Y2K aesthetic for her was pretty hard. I didn't want to go with kidcore again, although the vine details she has kind of remind me of those elaborate temporary tattoos you'd get as a kid. I decided on picking some traits from the Fritiger Arrow aesthetic to incorporate into the design. Her design isn't as aesthetically focused as Sky's, but I wanted to stick to my Y2K idea as much as I could. I was inspired to turn her Pegasus wings into floating transparent wings filled with liquid. It's a design choice that I've noticed in a lot of Fritiger Arrow mood boards and overall designs. Especially with those old transparent computer mice with the liquid and fish floating in them. And yes, she does use those wings to fly. I thought about making her an android to match with her semi-Fritiger Arrow aesthetic, but you can't really see that in her final design, aside from maybe the shoes that I gave her. I put her in like an oversized athletic jacket and some track shorts to go along with it. I mean, Pegasi love flying, so who's to say Star's not an athlete? I incorporated her heart cutie mark on her jacket, and I know it's not one-to-one, but I like how the simplicity of it matches with the simple jacket itself. You've probably noticed by now that I added an ice cream cone to Star's character, and you're also wondering, why? Well, in one of the specials that she's featured in, Friends Are Never Far Away, she states that all Pegasi apparently love ice cream. I don't know if that fact was meant to be tied to a playset that incorporated Pegasus ponies and ice cream, or just a random fact because little girls like ice cream or something. But it's a concept, and I am running, or flying, with that concept. I gave her some skin details to match the flowy curly designs on her pony form. She's also the only character design that I gave a ponytail to. No other reason than I felt like I liked how it looked with her silhouette. Here's Starcatcher. She'll tolerate your opinion on Superman being a better ice cream flavor than Blue Moon. Sweet Desert Rose wants to fill everyone's life with flowers, and always has a pretty blossom to give to her friends. Sweet scents always fill the air when Desert Rose is around. Okay. If there's one thing that stayed consistent between G3 and G4, aside from, the characters themselves, is the obsession with background characters. Like, Desert Rose doesn't even have a speaking role in any of the specials her character appears in, but I just loved this character so much. Her name was literally part of my Webkinz username. So yeah, I'm a little biased picking this character to turn into a human, but I do not care. This is my video. I can choose whichever characters I want to turn human. Picking a Y2K aesthetic for Desert Rose was harder than picking one for Starcatcher, in all honesty. I ended up taking inspo from the Mick Bling aesthetic because of her more pinkish color scheme, but that's pretty much it. The hardest part when it comes to a character whose lore is essentially a blank canvas is figuring out what to paint on said canvas. The only information I could remotely find for Rosie is that she likes flowers, which isn't too much of a stretch considering her name and cutie mark. And I know it's hard to incorporate flowers and sparkly animal printed fashion, but what if I just combined them? Like I said, Rosie is a blank canvas, so who's to say my headcanon can't be that she enjoys gardening while bedazzling everything she owns? Speaking of bedazzle, I of course needed to include as many sparkles as possible, or at least in areas that make things look cohesive and not too much. To call back to McBling's animal printed fashion, I had her mini jean skirt have a simplified rose print, which also is a callback to her cutie mark. Like with Star's design, I also gave Rosie a few tattoos, which I don't think is really McBling, but I had an idea where I wanted a cutie mark tattooed on one of the characters, so I did it with Rosie, especially since her design, well, exposes her waist. And because why not, I added an ankle tattoo that mirrors that ankle design a lot of G3 ponies have in official artwork. I also gave her a horseshoe belt buckle, partly because I felt like it made her look a little extra with how a little extra the McBling aesthetic is, and partly because I felt like it. One regret I do have is that I feel like I made her look too much like a mean girl, but it could just be me and the expression I gave her. One addition of a slight platform of fuzzy slippers and she's done! She'll meticulously prune and shear her collection of pink and red roses, and will unironically call them fetch to her friends. And I wasn't quite done yet, so I decided to be a little extra. Actually, not extra, I wanted this from the very start. I wanted to draw them interacting in some way, especially Sky and Star. I looked up friendship poses on Pinterest and came across a few where the people posed with their arms curved up like they're forming a heart. I took a few liberties with the final poses, like having Star and Sky hold hands, and also showing off Rosie's nail polish. I wanted to go for a candid Polaroid look, kind of like they're at a party and Fluttershy comes up and asks the three for a picture, and just in the moment they just went with this pose. Honestly, I don't do a lot of group poses in my drawings, so this was also a fun exercise for me. I definitely need to draw my own characters together in poses like these. Maybe that'll be a part of a future video? Who's to say? And only if y'all want that too. One of my favorite parts of the drawing is how Sky's and Star's hair sort of intertwine with each other's, like Star's hair is leaning on Sky's. I love it so much! I guess this would also be each pony's head canon heights between each other. Because I just realized that I made Rosie really tall, but you can also say I made Star tall too. She does have wings after all, so maybe she just decided to float up a little bit for the picture. And once again, I had a hard time figuring out what expression to give Rosie, and I'm not completely sold on the end product if I'm being honest. Again, she looks a little too mean girl for me, but sometimes you just have to settle for good enough. And ain't that the main lesson of Rosie's character design? Moving on. I'd say each of their color schemes actually go very well together. Again, it could just be me. I mean, there are a lot of pinks, but too much pink never hurt anyone, right? To go with the Polaroid picture feel, I thought it would be in each of the pony's characters to doodle on the Polaroid. Like, adding a little bit of their personalities is a part of the drawing. I did almost forget to add the highlights on Rosie's jacket before exporting the speed paint, but I made it in. And here's all the girlies! Let me know which design is your favorite. Personally, I have two favorites. I just realized my first video of the Year of the Horse is an MLP video. Anyways, I do want to do more human designs, maybe with ponies that weren't reused in G4, that didn't have too prominent of an appearance in that generation. Maybe I'll get to do Starsong and Wisteria. Or maybe Tularula, who was also part of the Core 7. Or maybe even Minty. I know she's a few people's favorite character. Though I'm also not opposed in turning the breezies into humans, specifically Zipsy, Tralala, and Tiddlywink, and yes, those are their real names. One idea that I'd love to explore in another video is turning the G3 counterparts of the G4 main 6 into humans. For example, finding Twilight Sparkle's G3 counterpart, which I think is Twilight Twinkle, and drawing her as a human. It'll be like drawing the core 6, if you will. Let me know what you all think of that idea. Let me know if you want to see more G3 content from me. Let me know if you want, like, a deep dive into G3. Or, if y'all really want, I really want to talk about the world's biggest tea party, which is a stage show that they put on back in the mid-2000s. And not to brag or anything, but I actually went to see it in person as a 6-year-old. Please, please let me talk about it. I really want to share this cursed knowledge with others. Okay, bye.